Here are 3 steps to getting more leads and better quality leads from your social media if you're a real estate agent. Let me just go ahead and switch over to here so we have our notes and we'll get these stats out of the way. And then, by the way, if you want to go back and look at those stats, we have a lot of experience with real estate agents. That's how we've developed these strategies. Anyway, jumping in, the first step you want to do is make content and give an offer. Can't tell you how many times people don't actually make content, or they're making social media content, but it's an automated system. And the problem with that is twofold. One, you're not really keeping track of the things that are actually getting the best results, right? The whole idea of an autopilot thing without any one individual person actually tracking your metrics, whether that be you or a team member or an outsourced entity, whatever that might be, is that you put out content and you're not seeing what's actually resonating. You just have some kind of platform that's building out stock video and AI video every week or every month or something like that. And it might look really pretty, but the problem with that is that it doesn't keep you out there. It doesn't keep you top of mind or keep you relevant like a lot of folks offer it to be. What ends up happening actually is that they're either, unfortunately, I hate to talk bad about other companies, but they're either making the same content for a bunch of other agents. And so, you're just not authentic or original at all, or it's made originally for you, but it just doesn't actually engage people. Ironically, as funny as this seems, because sometimes it feels the opposite, social media is designed to be social. It's designed to interact with other people. So much so that when I first started my career in digital marketing, we had this massive Facebook switch. I was at iHeartMedia at the time, and we had this massive switch in the Facebook algorithm where they said they wanted to focus on meaningful social interaction, I think meaningful human interaction, and all that basically meant was that all the company pages out there were suddenly going to get less deliverability with their content and less results from their content. And since then, Facebook's never been the same, which is really a funny time to start your career in digital marketing and organic content. But it was so big, iHeartMedia as a whole, nationally, across the US, had to reduce by 40 to 50% their actual marketing or their marketing goals for the folks who are making organic content. Our main priority, the goal in that role that I had and thousands of others across the country, is to make content on the local radio station sites and use that content to make articles that would send people to the website and get individuals to actually go on the website. It was monthly unique visitors, MUVs, to the website, and that's how they got more ads to be seen and all that kind of stuff. That whole thing had to change by 40% because Facebook understood, and Instagram and other platforms understood, that people didn't want to see more boring corporate content. They wanted to see more human content, people from their friends and family and others who were actually making authentic content and human content. So all that goes to say, use the best differentiator you have, which is your face, in your content, because the more content you make, the more you will see, the more content you make or somebody dedicated on your team will make, the more you will see what is working, what's not working, the more you can start to make more of that content and get closer to the target demographic that you're trying to get in front of. Whether that be more views or more conversions, of course, that's up to you, but you can't track that if you're not looking at the numbers. So make content, make more content, and if you're just having auto posting out there, don't count that. Just ignore. You can do it. I don't recommend it. You can still have it run, but I actually recommend don't even count that as a single post. If you had 18 posts go out this past week that were all these prefabricated videos or infographics, say that, okay, I have had 0 posts this week. I have to go make some actual posts, and ideally, of course, video is what we seem to be the best. So do that, and also make sure, because this is about getting more leads from social media, make sure you actually give an offer. And you're gonna do that through a CTA, which is a call to action. So a lot of people will make a lot of content. I was just on the phone, or on a Zoom call with someone yesterday, a real estate agent based out in Dallas, Fort Worth, who is doing amazing. They have great results, and they're also really bullish on content. He has books, he has a radio station, he has a ton of YouTube content out there with a ton of views on a lot of his content, which is all based on local real estate stuff. So he's doing great in terms of making content and getting brand awareness. And he was like, how do I get more results there? And during their conversation, we realized, we're like, hey, you don't have any offers. Someone could, and this really does happen, I know it seems crazy, but somebody could see your content, be like, wow, I really like how this guy, we'll call him Jack. I really like how this guy, Jack, walked me through the buying process and what the market is like in Dallas-Fort Worth. That's so cool. Man, I wish I had a real estate agent like Jack to help me out. You know, that could happen. And that happens all the time. People see content, they watch a video, and they don't equate the fact that, oh, actually, that is a real estate agent, and I should go to their website, and I should look up their number, and I should call them. Those multiple steps, what do you think is more likely to happen? They're going to go through all of those steps and then just think top of mind, oh, I need to work with him now, and I need to contact him now, otherwise I'm going to forget. Or is it more likely that they're just going to go and see the next recommended video on YouTube and click on that, right? It's very likely that that happens. I know it seems wild, but in the same conversation, we talked about how this guy wrote had a video about what escrow actually is, right? And he was talking about how he had all these like mortgage professionals, people who work in mortgages, saying, wow, thank you so much for explaining this. Like, people in mortgage stuff didn't understand that the process of going into escrow. However, at the same time, you know, we were surprised that, like, you know, there's no offer and therefore people aren't seeing his content and then becoming leads or becoming clients. So, like, you know, it's funny how we expect things to happen on social media, but they don't unless we make it very clear and very easy for people to go from, wow, I love this content, to I want to work with them, and then go through the process of becoming a lead and ultimately a client. So you have to give an offer. Now, there's a couple different ways to do this. So one, and this is personally my favorite way, is that you make organic content. The organic content has no offers in it. It is purely about value. It's purely about brand awareness. It's purely about establishing yourself as an authority figure in your market to your target demographic. I have other videos explaining this, but essentially you don't want to try to do trendy content. You want to make content that's niche because your target market is niche. And that's okay, because if you got one new client a year, you'd probably be happy. What if you got one new client every month? That would be insane. And guess how many views that you need to get minimum to get 12 new clients in a year, one every month. 12 views per year, right? Like, your audience is niche, and that's okay, but you have to target them. If you just make content that's out there for everybody, you're going to get in front of everybody. You're going to be a mile wide and an inch deep, right? But if you go niche, you can really establish yourself as an authority figure, someone who can help the local buyer or seller that you're hoping to work with and position you to work with them well. Now, that's all on the organic side. But because we're not doing a call to action in the organic, that is where paid is going to pick up the slack. So there's a lot of really cool ways to do this. And a lot of people, you guys already know a lot about this, actually, by the way. But what you can do is you can actually take your organic content and then you can make paid content that retargets those folks. So you can actually retarget an audience based off of the people who have interacted with your Facebook page or your Instagram page, whatever it may be, and you can give them those offers for ads. So you know that they're already somewhat warm as a potential prospect, right? What you can also do is create lookalike audiences. And the lookalike audience is really great because obviously you can get in front of people who, based off of like your CRM or your database or whatever, you can input that into like meta ads, for instance, and target that audience if you have like a ton of people in there. Or if you just have a decent amount of people, like a couple hundred, you could do what's called a lookalike audience and say, hey, all these people who share similar demographics and psychographics who are more likely than just the random Joe out there to be someone interested in working with me, let's target more people like that, and then Meta will use its infinite amount of data that it has on us, you know, unlimited knowledge it knows about us, and the fact that it knows more about us than we know about ourselves, to find more people who share those similarities, and will get you in front of a strong audience. So I personally really love this. This is what I do for my own business. I make organic content, and then I use paid to kind of be the, as Gary Vaynerchuk would say, the organic content is the jab, 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 and then the paid is the right hook, right? So that is my personal favorite. Now, that does involve paid, and you know, some people might not have the budget for it. That's okay. You can still see a lot of great results on social media. The next way is inside of organic content. I recommend doing this for more long-form content, so podcasts and YouTube videos that are a little bit longer. And here's the reason why. Basically, at this point, you're going to be thinking about it as if you were a movie and there's product placement in the movie. I just spit everywhere. I'm glad no one's standing there. Basically, what you're doing is you have all of the content, right? So here's like the the timeline, basically, if you're ever edited videos. This is what it looks like, right? So you have all this stuff in here, and these are just like different like scenes, and you're talking about all this stuff and establishing value just like you would in a normal long form piece of content. And then in the middle here, then you suddenly have a little bit of a basically product placement, right? And this is where basically you're going to be giving like some sort of essentially advertisement, right? Of your services, being like, hey, by the way, thank you for watching this, you know, or maybe not say that because people normally assume the video's over at that point, but what you can say is say like, hey, by the way, like, just like I talked about how you can renovate your home to get more equity before you sell it in this kind of market and why I recommend that. If you want some actual consultative advice, go ahead and give me a call, and here's my number, and we'll jump on the phone and I'll walk you through your exact thing. I'll do a free walkthrough and give you recommendations. It's a great way to get in contact with someone, establish a relationship, and so that when they are ready to buy or sell, which if they're thinking about renovations for more equity before a sale, they're pretty close to being ready to sell, then you can, of course, deliver that kind of advertisement essentially for your own services in the middle there. And then you go back to having more value, right? So that's a great way to do inside of organic content, right? Inside of the normal content that you're creating that's valuable, you're just putting it in there like a little product placement. Like when you're watching some video and like somebody cracks open like a Coors Light or something like that, it's like, that is you, except it's you making the content and you advertising for yourself. Now, another way also is in between posts. So this is a little bit more relevant for short form content, right? But it can really work with most things, you know, if we think about like timelines and stuff. So here is like, you know, your, let's say, Instagram page, for instance, right? So then we look at your feed, right? And you've got all of these posts in here. So we'll do like a 3x2 grid here for 6 posts that you're looking at your feed. So here, you know, we basically have this content that is, you know, normal value-driven content, right? Normal value-driven content, normal value-driven content. And then every like 4 or 5 videos, you just have one short video that's basically like, hey guys, really quickly, here's how I help local buyers or sellers in my market. Here's what makes me different. If you're interested in working with someone, or you've been thinking about buying or selling your house and you just want to talk with someone who you think you can trust, go ahead and call me at this number or click the link down below, whatever, and I'd love to help you out, right? That's a call to action, and it's just one video that just breaks it up. But the power of this is that you're basically a commercial in this case, right? So you have, if you think about like your content as like a network, right? Like a TV network, and you have your multiple minutes of placement, right? And I think it's basically the ratio is like, you know, for every, it's like 3-1, right? Basically, it's like for every 3 minutes of content, like you get 1 minute of advertisement, right? And they usually do it's like 15 minutes or it's like 7 minutes. I don't know, I'm not from TV. But basically, you have a lot of good content, then a little ad spot, a lot of good content, little ad spot. It's usually like a 4-to-1 kind of breakdown, maybe a 3-to-1. But I recommend doing a little bit higher than that. Like I recommend doing like a 5-to-1 or a 4-to-1. That just means like 4 great pieces of content that are all value driven, no call to actions. And then you have one that just explains like, hey, by the way, this is what I do. Here's who I help. Like click the link down below or call me and love to talk with you. And then the next post is all about value for another 4 to 5, right? That's really great because obviously what you're doing is you're establishing your value, you're establishing trust and building your audience just like you normally should on social media, and then you're just intermittently sprinkling in the actual call to action there. That's really great too. Again, more for short form, and I like to say the inside organic content is a little bit better for the long form, but both can be great, and maybe that's just something you try on different platforms. Maybe YouTube and podcasts are probably better for inside organic content, and the in-between posts are better for more of the social media kind of content. So, or the normal social media platforms in terms of like Instagram, Facebook, and so on. So that's number 1, make more content and make sure to give an offer. If you're making great content, which is the first step, next step should be make a great offer, right? Like make sure you have an offer that actually makes people interested. Not even just like, I'm a great agent, work with me. Like you have to give something to get something. Like there's 1,000 agents in every market who are all selling the exact same thing to the exact same people for the exact same price. You have to differentiate yourself. And so make a fun offer and make it relative to your demographic. If you really like working with first-time home buyers, make an offer specific about first-time home buyers, and you're going to see better results that way. Okay, so Next is to run lead generation paid ads. So obviously I touched on this a little bit in the last one there, but I really do love lead generation paid ads. I am a huge proponent. It's how I get basically all of the business for my company. The reason why I like it is because it's very scalable. And I think also real estate agents, like, you have a great industry for it, and that's why I run it for my clients. But it's great because you have a high conversion industry, right? Paid ads can get tricky if you don't have a ton of budget and you're selling a very inexpensive thing. And the reason for that is because paid ads, essentially, what you're doing is you're giving money to the, let's say Meta, for instance, because that's my preferred platform for ads, but you're giving money to Meta to get in front of an audience to accomplish some sort of a goal. So as long as you set up your goals properly, which I'm going to talk about that in just a second, then you should be really great, because obviously tons of demographic available on Instagram and Facebook. So you're not short there. Don't say that your audience isn't on Facebook, because you're just not right. It's not true. The audience, the monthly active users on Facebook is almost the same as the monthly active people in the United States. So it's like almost 300 million users on the platform in the United States. So your audience is there, okay? Just gonna tell you that. Also, homebuyers scale older, so that's great for Facebook. Anyway, the way that it's working is that you pay Meta to get in front of the audience to accomplish the goal. And as long as you set up the goals properly, they're going to do a really good job of getting in front of the right people, right? And so what's important about that is that sometimes it takes a lot more money, depending on the industry and the offer and all of this stuff, to accomplish the goal. Here's the thing. A lot of real estate agents are doing like 4 to 5 to 6 transactions a year. So one, you are available to take on more clients because you're in an industry where there are very few conversions per year on average. I know what people are different. You have teams, it's totally different. But you have availability there, right? Like you're very likely, the issue is not going to be, your bottleneck is not going to be lack of time. And if it is, that's kind of great, right? You're in a great situation. But so for the most part, people are going to have an issue with lack of getting the right kinds of leads and working those leads and getting clients out of it. So what's great is that you know your demographic is there. You have time to take on more clients. That's not your bottleneck. Two, you're in a high commission industry, right? So what's nice about that is, unlike selling an inexpensive like widget that costs like, $4 to buy and it costs like $3 to make it, you have to be getting customers for less than $1 at that point, right? Most people are seeing commissions in the tens of thousands of dollar range. That is also going to depend on your industry or on your market, of course. But most people, you sell a house, you're going to get $10, $12, $30, $40,000 commission depending on the market. So guess what you can spend to get a qualified lead? Well, you can spend thousands of dollars. You can spend maybe even tens of thousands of dollars. Again, it's going to depend on the market, but you have a lot more flexibility in terms of cost per acquisition than a lot of other industries. And that's great for paid advertising, especially on platforms like Meta, because that just means that you have a lot more flexibility. Whereas like somebody selling like an inexpensive thing, they really have to be on top of it. You have some wiggle room there and still be very profitable. So that's fantastic there. But I highly recommend, in terms of it, like I was mentioning it a second ago, I highly recommend Meta lead forms. Now, people have a little bit of a love-hate with Meta lead forms. I use them as all of my ads, basically. So I love them. But here's the reason why I love them personally. Because if you have basically this... on social media, you're doing what's called disruptive marketing, right? Somebody's on there to see from their friends and families and other, entertainment things on Facebook or Instagram, and then they see your ad, right? So they're only going to see it if you get in front of them, because you're what the algorithm believes will be somebody who'd be interested in that ad, right? So already you're targeted, right? So that's great for likelihood of conversion. But then, if you use like a normal kind of ad, right, you are basically sending people from Facebook or Instagram off to your website. Now, here's the problem with that. and then here's your little picture and all that kind of stuff and a little bio. Here's the problem with that. You're going off platform. Number one, Facebook, Instagram, they don't love that, right? Their whole market is based off of retention on platform. So I don't have a specific stat about how link click ads going to a website are less effective. I don't imagine they could be that much less effective in terms of pure cost because of, that'd be a little tough for Meta to make your ads less effective if you're paying them because they want you to pay them more. But even outside of that, which they don't love people leaving their platform, even outside of that, you still have to then rely on not only your ad being really effective, but then you have to rely on your website being effective. And I can't tell you how many times people run ads that go to like their normal website, and basically you've captured someone's attention. You have stopped them from what they were there originally on Facebook or Instagram to do, and they've clicked on it. They said, yeah, I'm interested in putting my day on hold to learn more about this thing who somebody's going to probably try and contact me or talk to me about, at an inconvenient time and all this kind of stuff. Like, think about how disruptive that is. And you're getting somebody to click on that, and they're going to your website, and then they have to navigate your website, which a lot of people don't have good websites anyway. But even if it looks great, if you have and you're sending people to your general website, then they're like, okay, here's Deborah, who's an agent in my market. I guess I go to maybe homes, or maybe I go more to about us or contact us. And if I hit contact us, then it just shows me their phone number and their email. And now I have to go call them. And now I have to go find my phone, or if I'm on my phone, now I gotta swipe out of the app and remember the number, or if I click on the link, then I'm gonna call them. It's a lot of steps, and you're just asking people who were interested in your service to go through unnecessary hurdles. Now, if you have a landing page, it's a little bit better because, of course, that landing pages are optimized for, contacts or whatever, but it's still, again, more steps. And the really tricky thing is that if your goal is simply link clicks on Facebook or Instagram or any paid advertising platform, then as soon as somebody goes, as soon as this person goes to your website or goes to your landing page, they are considered to be a success, right? Because that is what the Facebook ad link click ads are designed to do. They're designed to have people click on the link to go to your platform, whatever that ends up being, a website or a landing page or whatever. Now, the problem with that is Facebook is like, great, we've succeeded, we've done our job. But you, on the other hand, you still have more steps to accomplish to actually get that lead and be able to contact them. They need to navigate your website and give their information and all that kind of stuff, which they very much so might not do. So if you don't have an amazing website or landing page, or even if you do, they're going through extra steps, and at the same time, there's a disconnect between what your goal is, which is getting a lead, and what the actual platform that you're advertising on, Facebook or Instagram, are trying to accomplish for you. They think it's a success, but you haven't seen that success yet, so there's a lot of fall off right there. So instead, I like the lead form ads. So the lead form ads, instead, is you're on Facebook or Instagram, and then basically, you have all these little posts right here, and then one of your posts, or one of the posts for them, is going to be this lead form. So you stay in platform. You're still in Facebook or Instagram, and instead it just says hey, thanks so much. Here's what we do, and here's how we can help. How about you answer these questions, right? And here's what's really cool, is that a lot of people do this wrong, and they just say, oh, they're gonna click on the lead form thing. It's gonna say, what's your first name, first name, last name, email, phone number, submit it, and then cool, they're a lead, which technically, yes, they are a lead. They are somebody that you can contact, which is the definition that we use for a lead. But at this point, because Facebook lead form ads are so efficient, a lot of agents actually don't like them because they think they get, quote, bad leads, or ghost leads, or nothing leads, or insert profanity here leads. Because they say, oh, well, yeah, I guess I technically got a lead, but they're not picking up, and then we're gonna talk about your follow-up system in a second. But yeah, you might get people who have low intent because the lead format is so efficient that it's just as easy for somebody to click the X thing as it is for them to just hit the submit button. And so a lot of times people are just gonna be trying to get out, and they just hit submit because they're trying to get out of there, not because they have a high intent or a high level of qualification to actually work with you. And so that's what a lot of people do, and they say, oh, these don't work, these are terrible leads. But in reality, what you need to do is you need to build out your lead form to qualify the lead. it sounds counterintuitive. We like to think in a perfect world that if somebody clicks on the lead form ad, that they're going to be a quality person, but that's just not the way people work, right? People will click on things because they're interested, not necessarily only because they're qualified or that they're actually going to want to work with you. So you need to have the qualification in there. But what's cool is that lead form ads can do that. So instead of having this like, oh, just give us your name and email and phone number, instead what you want to do is have sections and sections of different qualification questions. The ones I like to do are basically budget, time frame, and I like to do 3 to 4 depending on what my client is kind of looking for, because of volume versus qualification. But so I like to have budget, time frame, sometimes also just location, and I like this to just be another like confirmation, right? And actually, I did this in kind of reverse order. Not that it really matters too much, but I kind of like this to be the first one, just because the first question I want somebody to say when they go out, click on one of my agents' lead form ads is, like, let's say they're based in Arizona, right? And they help people buy or sell a home anywhere in the state of Arizona. The first question on that lead form is going to be, are you looking to buy or sell a property in Arizona? And if they say, they could either say buy or sell, or both, or neither, right? Sometimes just do buy or sell or whatever. If they say buy or sell, then great, they move to the next question. If they say neither, then I'm like, okay, obviously you're not a lead for my real estate agent who's looking to help people buy or sell a property in Arizona. So then it'll go to a message that says, hey, thank you so much, but we're probably not the best fit for you. You can check out things on our website if you want to do that, or you can send them somewhere else. But I like to do that first just to make sure, they're actually interested. Okay, great. Now, next question, what is your time frame? Because if you say, and I tell this to folks all the time, if we have a lead that says, I'm looking to buy or sell a property in 6+ months from now, we know that that might be 6 years. That is just as likely to be 6 months as it is to be 6 years. Sometimes agents are like, hey, I still want them in my database because they said they're interested. Totally okay. But obviously, that is a lower quality lead, a lower level of intent than somebody who says, I'm looking to buy or sell immediately, or I'm looking to buy or sell in the next month or two. So normally what we do is we qualify people who say immediately or a month or two, and we send them on through to the next question. And the last question, this depends. Some people work with all sorts of budgets, and that's totally cool. But sometimes people say we like to qualify budget, and that really depends on the market. But let's say, for instance, what's your home buying budget? If it's less than $200,000, for instance, then a lot of times, depending on the agent in the market, we might disqualify them. That might be less than what somebody wants to work with. Other markets, it might be $100,000, whatever it might be. But if they say $200,000, less than $200,000, then we might be like, hey, sorry, again, probably not the right fit. If it says 200 to 800, right, then we'll be like, okay, cool, we'll move them along. If they say 800 plus, $800,000+ is their maximum budget for buying or selling, or if it's selling, we'll say what's the estimated equity of your property. Then if they go through that and they actually go over to oh yeah, then not only we're like, oh yeah, you're definitely quality, but we're also probably going to prioritize you if we have multiple leads to reach out to, right? Because that's the higher commission check for the agent. So ultimately, that is how you start to qualify people. So that way, before you even have a lead come into your database or to your CRM and you start working them, because you should be working leads as soon as they come in, then we know, okay, one, we know specifics about their interest so that we can call them with a little bit of knowledge, not just hey, I think you responded to my ad. But also on top of that, we can also say, well, great, here are the ones I should prioritize because of higher intent level, faster timeline to buy, or also, a higher budget, so better commission check for the agent. But we know too, just at very least that yes, they are interested, they have a good budget, and they have a good time frame. You can't say that that's not a quality lead, right? That is, what we do is we ask the agent, which one of these makes sense for you, so that as soon as a lead comes in, we already know for a fact that that lead is qualified for the agent, right? Now, you could argue, yeah, people could lie, but it's yes, but now you're saying people disrupted their own service just to answer a bunch of questions that they don't know which ones are the right ones or the wrong ones. I get, you could guess, of course, but they don't know. and they're taking up all their time just to get on a potential meeting with somebody that they don't care to work with. It's less likely that they do that, and it's way more likely that unqualified people either X out or select the wrong option, because we want them to go through time. Like, we want to take up a little bit of time, because that in and of itself is a qualification thing. If they take time to answer all the questions, then they're more qualified than somebody who simply is just trying to say like, oh, get me out of this, get me back to my thing. In which case they would just hit the X out button, right? Instead of going through 4 to 5 questions, before submitting their contact information to a company that they don't want to work with. That just doesn't make sense. And that's what we want to do. We want to make sure the lead gen system makes sense and that we know people are qualified if they're coming through. So that is really important. Now, that is all about also I kind of covered there, the important steps to building ads that get the proper leads. So that's what I'm saying, is that don't just qualify any single possible person who answers, their contact information. Qualify the leads based off what you're looking for. And if you have a lot of leads, if you have a good amount of business and you only want to spend time on really quality potential, then make those restrictions tighter, right? Make it like higher budget, faster timeline, whatever it may be. Only sellers maybe, for instance, if that's what you're looking for. You're going to get less leads, less opportunity, but you are going to get higher quality. And so keep that in mind. Now, if you're like, I need more business and I'm pretty open to whatever, then keep it wide open. Maybe you only have 2 qualifying questions, or maybe even only 1. That's totally fine. It's up to you, but you can customize it. And most importantly, you can test it to make sure you're getting the best result there. So next is, of course, having a system for working the leads. So, I mean, listen, this is just like the bane of any marketer's existence, but getting a lead does not mean you get a client. Like, if you hire a company like mine or another's to get you leads, what we're going to do is we're going to get you people who we know are qualified based off your own targets, or some marketing companies will get you whatever leads. But what I do is I say, hey, like, how can we get you like the leads that you say are quality, so that I'm not guessing, like, I know that they're quality if they come through, but I expect you to work them, right? Like, you have to. If you were saying instead, hey, I only want you to get me people who are ready to write me a commission check, or are like, hey, I want to work with you right now, like I'm not a lead, I'm a client already, it's a very different kind of business. You're then hiring, just a lot more, right? You're just hiring basically a team of salespeople. You're hiring marketers on top of salespeople who have really good conversion rates, who have all the systems built out. Nothing wrong with that. And I'm sure there are companies that do that full system. But like, if you want to do that and you only want to show houses and you don't want to do any marketing, keep in mind, you're going to have to pay a company that does all that, which is the hardest part of real estate, to be totally honest, or at least from my perspective, the hardest part of real estate is the sales side. Like, Alex Hormozi's got a really great topic on a couple of his podcasts about, sometimes you're in an industry and you think the job is X, Y, and Z, but it's actually a completely different job. And he talked about how gyms, he thought it was about having the best plans and the best trainers and the best systems and all that kind of stuff for losing weight and getting in shape. But in reality, he found out, no, it's actually about marketing and sales. Like, the best gyms have the best marketing and sales, and that's actually what the business really is. I think real estate is very similar. There's a million of you in every market. It's more about getting your sales and your systems in place to get more clients than it necessarily even is about your knowledge about real estate. I'm probably going to catch a little bit of flack for that, but at least in terms of getting more business, making more money, I think that is the case. Now, you could argue, well, like, I'd rather spend more time being a better agent, and that's totally cool. Just keep in mind, if you take time and effort out of the skills of getting more clients and you put it more into being a better agent, I think that'll definitely help you in terms of referrals and stuff like that, for sure. But I think knowing how to market and sell yourself is probably going to help you do better at marketing and selling yourself than just being the best agent out there. Not because you don't deserve it. I'm not saying what it should be. I'm just saying what I have observed it to be. That is what I believe personally. I wish it was a different way. That's just what I've seen. I respect all different opinions on that, but that's just how I've seen it so far, my experience. So in terms of that system, I'm sure you guys have heard this before, but speed to lead is massive. I'll tell you a really quick story. I've shared the story before. I had 2 real estate agents I was working with around the same time. One was based in New Jersey, one was based in Atlanta. The one that was based in New Jersey actually had double the ad spend budget. got him a ton of leads, got him a ton of results. A lot of people interested in, like, setting up meetings automated. This is before he even called them. We've got, and I even jumped on and did some of his calls for him because he was saying he was getting really low results, and I wanted to make sure I could, get him a good ROI. And, at the end of the day, it was just like, oh, every lead's bad. Even the people I talk to, like, they have unrealistic expectations. To which my belief was like, well, if they have unrealistic expectations, it's because they don't understand the market, which is why they need a real estate professional like you to help them. Like, that tells me that they need your help more than anything. And obviously he must have felt differently, which is whatever, to each his own. But from what I gathered, and we're not working with him anymore, but from what I gathered was, he probably didn't get a great ROI because he wasn't following up on the leads. Despite the fact that we had a better budget and that we got like 100 leads in less than 2 months for him, he didn't work them properly. And so hopefully that's changed. Hopefully, he's gotten better results there, but that has been, his from what I had heard last time I spoke with him, that was his result there, which I don't love. I want all my agents, of course, to get better results. Now, strike that with, or compare that to my one of my agents in Atlanta, who in his first month of working with us got 4 transactions, not leads, transactions from working with us. And I was like, wow, man, like, you're killing it. Like, what is being done differently here? Because we're using the same script, the same system that we use for all of our agents. And he was like, oh, well, I have a really clear system. Like, I hire a VA, and this VA's job, they do some other stuff, but their main job is to call leads as soon as they come in, and they will call them on day 1. They will call the lead 4 times until they pick up to schedule an appointment with the agent. And they will call them 4 times on day 2. And they will continue to follow up with them through phone calls for 8 weeks before they stop or move them into like a cold funnel, right? And on top of that, the agent himself is also calling those leads. He's also following up with those clients or with those prospects. So we're talking about like 5 to 6 times a day they're reaching out. And they're connecting with those leads as soon as they come in. One of them is calling them, and that is the only difference between the 2 systems. And he had half the budget and got 4 times, well, technically an infinite higher return. But let's say the first agent landed one of those clients, which he should have. I mean, we got him a client that was interested in working with him for a $400,000 home. So that's that. But he didn't believe that was a good lead. Again, no judgment, just to give you context. So let's say we'll give him 1 versus our agent's 4 transactions in half the time with half the budget. And the only difference from the 2 is that his follow-up system was awesome. Speed to lead, and of course, consistency and quantity was massive. It wasn't something he did when he felt like it. He had a person that he was paying every month, and that was a huge part of their job, if not the biggest part of their job, was just to call those leads. And they had a system where we're going to reach out to you every day for 8 weeks to make sure that we book something, right? That's massive. That is the big difference there. And then lastly, of course, is systems. There are a lot of systems that can help you do that. You can have automated email messages. I know a lot of people like services like Follow Up Boss, stuff like that. We do a little bit of that for our agents as well. And I think that's fantastic. That really helps, of course. Of course, I'm a big believer that speed to lead, specifically with phone calls of the leads, and also consistency and quantity of those calls, as well as email and SMS, but don't rely on those. Phone calls are what really make it work. That is massive. Also, there's a link down below. I almost forgot to mention that. What we're doing right now is we're offering just a few people every month the chance to have us just build out their meta lead ad system. So we'll give you exactly the system that we work with our agents with, and we'll build it out for you to run. We'll show you exactly how to do it and set. A lot of times we have people who don't have like their Facebook ads set up properly, or their page isn't connected or whatever. So we do all of that, help you out. It's $197 one-time fee, just $197. So it's kind of a giveaway in a way, but we only do it for a couple people a month. So if you're interested, click the link down below and we'll set you up Hopefully by the time you're watching this video, we're still offering that, but at least for now, we're pushing that out there just to help some people out. And it's really great if you just need the system started up and you have time to work it, but it's going to take you like 30 hours to learn how to do it yourself from scratch. We'll just set you up in the right direction so you don't have to, make all the mistakes that we've made over the past 7-8 years. You can just start to run with it right from the get-go. That's obviously a do-it-yourself thing, but we're basically going to build you the car and then let you drive it yourself and give you the roadmap for how to navigate it. So if you're interested, link down below. By the way, that is an example of a inside organic content advertisement. Yeah, that's right. I'm pretty meta that way. Now, the third step here is to get better leads and more leads from your social media is to use tools that help you convert and drive awareness. So there's a lot of different tools here that are important, and I think a lot of people use some of these tools or at least are knowledgeable about it. I'm going to go through them relatively quickly. Calendly is great. Calendly is great because, one, it doesn't rely on you to get back to people immediately. It doesn't require you to be there ready to work them. And small agents or agents that are solopreneurs or just them on their team, you might be out helping a client when somebody is like, oh yeah, like when's a good time to talk? And then you don't get back to them until the next day. And then and eventually everything falls apart. And like this person who was interested in working with you ends up finding another solution because it's faster, whatever. Calendly is a great way to have a link to automate people to your schedule. And obviously you can integrate it. There's no sponsor, by the way. I'm just a big fan of them. It's a great tool and it's relatively inexpensive. I have an even cheaper option for you too if you're interested. Number 2, or B right here, is CRMs that integrate into social media. I think most do this now, but I'm going to show you in our tool basically how we integrate it, and hopefully your CRM, if you're already using something that you really like, does this, and I'll show you how to do it. But that's really important because leads will come in through social media, and a lot of times people don't realize, and by the way, I've done this too, you don't realize that you're getting leads because you're not checking your Facebook Messenger or your Instagram DMs. And then you see like somebody reached out and said like, oh, hey, like I might be interested in buying your home like pretty soon. From your organic, that's a free lead, but you never saw it because you never got a notification. And so, you definitely want your CRM to be integrated into your social media. If, you're going to spend time making this content and promoting yourself on social media, make sure that when the opportunity arises, you're actually there to help somebody out. But with that, I'm going to actually show you an example of Jarvis Social Manager. So, I talk about it a lot. It's in its beta form, but because of that, we have a really cheap price, and you can get it for 2 weeks for free. There'll be a link down below for it. But I'm going to show you how to build it out on there if you use it, or if you're interested in trying it out. And then you can obviously take some of the strategies and using your own CRM, if it allows that. But I'm obviously a big fan of the tool that we use. We use it for all of our clients. So I think it's great. But let me go ahead and show you kind of what that looks like with the screen share here. Okay, great. So this is the Jarvis Social Manager here. And basically, this tool is going to help you also not only do everything I'm going to show you how to do it real quick, but also this can replace obviously a CRM that integrates into social media and also Calendly. You can build out links that look just like Calendly from this, which is super cool. Actually, I'll show you right now. When we have people that want to follow up with us, this is the link that they use to follow up with us. Doesn't this look identical to Calendly? This is all built out through Go High Level, our Go High Level account, so we don't have to pay for a Calendly subscription. Works the exact same way, integrates with my calendar, and all that kind of stuff. You can set it up just like you can with Calendly, so super cool right there. And I just realized I'm not even sharing the right screen here. Hold on. Okay, there it is. Yeah, okay, it was. All right, so now going back into Jarvis Social Manager here. So if you have this tool, over on the left-hand side, number 1, marketing, this is where you connect your social media accounts and you can schedule everything and add in all this really cool stuff. That's a video for another day. But automation, and this is built out in Go High Level, by the way. So like you can build this out for yourself. We have the highest cost Go High Level plan, so our agents get a lot of those features for less money, which is super cool. But obviously, if you already have one, then just do the same thing that in your own account. So this is just to be an option if it makes sense for you, but if not, obviously don't worry. But here's how we would go about building this automation. So the first thing I want to do is show you basically keyword offers. So This is the thing that you've probably heard of, where if you want to build out a workflow where essentially what you're doing is you're getting people to basically say a word or comment a word on like your video, and you want to send them like a link to your Calendly, or you want to send them some sort of lead magnet or whatever it may be. And this is how you'd build that out. So you can just go here and obviously you have to connect your Facebook and Instagram, which is super easy to do, by the way, in Go High Level or in our tool, our version of it right here. But let's say you say, oh, I'm going to post something on Instagram, and I'm going to basically make a post, and it's going to be a video, and I'm going to select my thing here. Page is Jarvis Media. Oops, I guess I had to reconnect my... This is one annoying thing is you do have to every once in a while reconnect your social media. It's kind of a safety feature, but I guess I have to reconnect that, which is good to know. But so let's try this again. We'll try this with Facebook because I think Facebook's still connected. There we go. Okay. So Jarvis Media Consolidated is my page. Basically, I'm saying that I want to add a trigger, and on execution, the contact gets added to this workflow. So when somebody comments on my Facebook post, which is in Jarvis Media Consolidated, that page, and it can be a published post or it can be a custom post. You can really kind of customize that. But let's say any published post, and I want the post to be, let's say post is, and you have all these different options. These are posts that I've already done. But if you want this to apply to any future post, then you can actually just get rid of this, right? And instead, you can add a filter that just says, oh, I want the post to, or the phrase that they need to say, the comment, to trigger this keyword offer. I want it to say contains the phrase, or you can even say like exact match. And basically, let's say it's going to be like homes. So I'll say in the video, hey guys, if you want to learn more about how I can help you with your first time home sale, go ahead and comment homes below, and I'll reach out to you with my lead magnet or my Calendly link or whatever it is, right? So you can give them an offer that way, which is, by the way, great for the either the or organic inside organic content offer, or the in between post offer CTA that you might want to run. And they just have to comment that, and then it's going to start this. So I'm going to save this trigger right here. And then that means that now whenever they do that, they're going to get entered into the workflow, and then whatever can happen. So a couple things you can do here, which I would recommend. Number one, create contact, right? You just create the contact, and you can, put in all the different like things here, and obviously phone number, name, all that kind of stuff. Sometimes this isn't going to work perfectly well because with Facebook, it's not going to like have like, let's say necessarily their phone number necessarily built into this. But you can try. You can basically say, the kind of fields that you want to enter in here, or even just create the contact. Oh, I guess you have to have a field and have their info there. But what's cool is that this is actually going to kind of happen automatically, and I'll show you what that looks like. So you don't necessarily even have to do that, but that's just an option. But then what you want to do too is you'd want to do something along the lines of, reply in comments. So this is where like they say homes, like, when they respond to my call to action there, and then I can make multiple different automated responses here. And so I can say like, thanks, like just sent you a DM. And I can make a couple ones. And what's nice about this is you can have different things here, so that when multiple people responds, you can have these different messages here, so it doesn't feel too automated. So that you can just basically not look as automated as it actually is. You can also like the comments automatically, which is kind of cool. So you can just have as many, like a ton of these, I think like up to 10 or something that you want, so that you can just automatically randomly reply to them with one of these messages in here. So you save that action, so it's going to reply to them. And then if you go to the Facebook Interactive Messenger, then we're going to reply to the comment via their DM. So you can make a template here and all that kind of stuff if you want, or you can just be like, hey, person's name. So you can just kind of go into here, this little custom value, go to contact, and then just write their full name even, or first name if that's a little bit more natural probably. And this should work with Facebook, by the way, because it should know obviously their first name. Thanks for the reply. Here is my here's my schedule. Feel free to book a time to chat about your real estate goals. And then you just enter that in there. So for instance, what I would do, I have it saved already, but if you're building out a calendar, which of course you can do in here as well, what you could just do is, I'll just save that for now, hit save here. And then you can just go back to your workflow, go over to calendars. If you don't have a calendar already built out, you can hit new. You can build out a full calendar. I'm not going to go through all those steps, but it's relatively straightforward, and you can customize it to, end at 8 p.m. or start at 8 a.m. and all that kind of stuff. But let's say we already have a calendar here. I'll just go to calendar settings, save my realtor follow-up call, more options, or wait, here, share calendar, copy that link. And then I would just go over back to my, go to automation and go back to the one I was just building, which I think should be at the end here. April 4th. Yeah, I think that's today. Okay, here we go. Boom, boom, boom. And then I respond with that message, and then I just go here and I just copy that link, right? And so it's gonna save that and it's gonna send it to them. And what's cool then too is you can even have like a timeout here, right? You can have built in here, if they don't click the link or they don't do anything, which by the way, you can add a button too. This is sometimes a nicer way to do it. You could just say see calendar. And then you can like open the website, which could have like that same link in there. And so basically it'll send this message, and then it would just have two buttons below, and they can switch either one of them. And then you can add another button that says or call now. And then you could just be like, call the number and then enter in your number and all that good stuff. So you can have some options there. And then what's really cool is that you can build in an automated wait till your next step. And this is probably super familiar if you guys have worked with like a CRM, workflow before, but it's just really cool to be able to customize all of this stuff into your social media. And so like, let's say they don't reply in 5 minutes, you can then have the default message being here, and I would need to put in a phone number, but I'm not going to do that. Yes, delete that, save the action, and then the default timeout would just be basically like a new message. I would go back to interactive messenger, and I would just be like, hey, do you do you still need help? And you can, of course, try this out. I would test it to see what's getting the best response. I mean, if you're, constantly berating people with messages, like probably not the best thing. I'd probably do one follow-up in like a few minutes and then maybe wait until the next day to be like, hey, just checking in, realize you might have been busy yesterday. Just want to make sure you got the chance to book a calendar appointment and all that kind of stuff. What's really cool is that let's say you have a workflow built out for your calendar. If somebody books an appointment, you should have some follow-up with reminders and all of that stuff. This is content for another video, but if you have that, you can make it so that they automatically are taken out of any other workflow that they're in, just to make sure if they book an appointment, you're not still over on Facebook or Instagram being like, did you book an appointment? Did you book an appointment? Did you book an appointment? And that way, just a little bit of a better user experience for the customer there. So that's how you would build out basically this whole thing. I should actually, make sure it's not published because I don't want to run that. But what you can also do, of course, is just get notifications from those DMs. So let's say even, we wanted to scrap all of this. I can just say delete all actions from here, boop, boop, boop. And like somebody just comments on a post, or even if I want the trigger to be somebody commenting on a post, or also what is it? The client, what is the thing? Oh, it's response, I think. Customer reply, that's what it is. So what's really cool is that you can even have like anywhere in the CRM or on your socials that are connected through here, you could have somebody go through and say, anybody who replied on one of your, certain fields, but you could also just have replied in a channel and then select on Facebook Messenger. So now whenever anyone sends you a message on Facebook Messenger, and you can also customize this, you don't get all of them because we all do get some spam stuff eventually, but you can make sure at least that when you get a reply that says a certain phase, like homes or sell or buy or real estate, any of these keywords come in here, then you get a notification from your CRM in this case. And you can also notify yourself via text message or via email or both or whatever, or push notification if you use the app. A bunch of these different things that can actually send you a notification that says like, oh, here's somebody who said one of these keywords. They're probably a potential lead for us. Like, we should respond to them and not just ignore them, right? So you have a lot of customization there to be able to do that and make sure that you don't miss the opportunity when a lead comes in. And obviously, we already talked about how to do automated replies. So if that comes in, you can even just have a message that just says, or this should be the interactive messenger. So if somebody commented on, like, let's say we got rid of this trigger, and we just had the reply on our Facebook Messenger, and you can also do, by the way, Google My Business messaging or Instagram DMs or whatever. If somebody replied to you, you can also just have an automated message that says, like, send internal notification. That's basically how you could say, like, oh, I want to email myself, email like a custom email, and then just put in like your, me@me.com or whatever your email is, save that action. And then that way, you're going to actually, let's say, reply on Facebook. Trying to do this very quick, but I'm missing all these steps. And you just say, like, oh, you can even put in the contact person, so you just have an idea, but you could even say, like, oh, this person, contact, full name, replied on Facebook, reach out to them ASAP. All this cool stuff in there. So then you could just let yourself know when somebody comments who's a potential lead, so you don't miss the opportunity there when those opportunities come up. Just like you should have speed to lead with any paid leads, you should have speed to lead with organic leads too, because that is going to increase your conversion. And you can have automated replies and have, the interactive messenger, and just say, like, hey, thanks so much. I'll be right with you. So just something simple, and then you can just respond so that, they know to kind of like stay by their phone, or to keep checking. And then on top of all of that, what's really neat is that you can, of course, and as soon as anybody replies there, you can have their contact information right here. I'm just going to go to me because I probably shouldn't show all of this stuff here. So, if you have their contact information, even if they just comment on Facebook, you're gonna get some of their info, and it's automatically gonna be added to your contacts list, so that you can, add tags and keep track of them. And if they do go down like another funnel and they give you more contact information, it can automatically get added to the right account, so that you're just keeping better track of it. That's pretty common CRM stuff, but of course something I wanted to mention because I think it's super helpful for most people. So that is the Jarvis Social Manager. Again, link down below if you're interested. You can get 2 weeks for free. Try it out, see if you even like it before continuing on. But it's beta phase. There are videos that you can watch that are sent to you when you sign up that will explain how to do all of this stuff. So just, you're not totally in the dark there. But yeah, I think it's a great tool. We use it for all of our clients, and super helpful. But even if you don't use that, just be conscious that if you're gonna be making content, know that you have to be checking your DMs or your messages or your comments in some way, shape, or form to be able to get to those leads quickly and work them. It's just like paid advertising. You wouldn't let a lead go, weeks without responding to them. You obviously shouldn't do the same with an organic lead who comes in through social media. It's the same process, and the better response rate, the better follow-up you have, the better results you're gonna have. So guys, I appreciate it, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.